I think congratulations on coming out with a very good report. I must honestly confess I have only gone through half of it, but still it does make a lot of points which are very valid. So let me first try to connect with what Ulka said. Climate transition, energy transition, low carbon economy. I think these are no longer questions, these are imperatives. So probably that could be one of the starting points. Because if we want to try to compare having more and more coal-based power plants vis-a-vis more and more green power plants and how to move forward, I think that debate we are well past the debate. So that has to happen. We are committed, the world is committed. And as far as NTPC is concerned, what we did in the last 4 decades in terms of building a large capacity, for those who are not fully aware about NTPC, we have about 67 gigawatts of operational capacity, out of which only about a very small capacity is actually non-fossil fuel based, about 10%. But going forward in the next 10 years, we actually want to create a renewable or a non-fossil based capacity. And when I say non-fossil, it's mainly renewable. That will be almost equal in size to what we have on the fossil fuel side. So 40 years of coal-based transitioning to another 10 years of renewables. So that's the ask which I have been given in the management parlance. That's my KPA or whatever you want to call it. So that's what we need to move on. We have made good progress on that, and 2 or 3 things which have happened very clearly as far as NTPC is concerned. Although we still have a few coal-based plants under construction, but in the last 5 years, for example, we have actually not given the notice to proceed for any new coal-based plant. On the other hand, we've actually moved forward significantly on the renewable side. So we have close to about 7.5 gigawatt of renewables in the pipeline, including what is commissioned plus what is under construction and where we have already won the bids. So our journey down the energy transition pathway is already laid out. We have the number 60 gigawatt by 2032, what we want to achieve. And this is a number which we'll probably review at the end of another 3 to 4 years and see how we are moving forward. Mm-hmm. A lot of advantages going down the renewable pathway. And this here again is not something we need to devote too much time to. Obviously, carbon, moving away from carbon dioxide emissions, moving to more cleaner sources of energy. And we feel that renewable and various options arising out of renewables, whether it is green hydrogen, green ammonia, green methanol. So we feel all of these would play a very important role going forward. And I really would like to also add to what Ulka said about the water saving. Obviously, once we're moving from a coal-based journey to a renewable-based journey, the amount of water saving is significant. But more than that, we also feel that it is something in terms of carbon dioxide emissions and avoided emissions, which will happen much more significantly. And for a lot of people who live in Delhi and the NCR, pollution is, we are probably, everyone says, although I'm not a smoker, that we are actually breathing in close to some, 10 cigarette packs per day kind of thing. So probably it's happening. And if someone does an X-ray of my lungs, they'll be pretty black in color. That's what I assume. So these are things we're all facing up to. On the just transition side, I have been on record in a couple of other forums also. This is actually very close to what NTPC is doing. But in terms of what your report says and what we are doing, there might be still some areas where we are probably not converging in entirety. We're not questioning what you say. So for us, there are maybe 2 or 3 layers. One part we had always been involved with in terms of CSR, which keeps on continuing. It doesn't take away anything from what we are doing. And along with that, would also what we have done, albeit not very, clearly laid out roadmap earlier, that we invested a lot in developing, for example, the ITI, the Industrial Training Institutes. And NTPC, probably other than the government, I don't have a verified number here, but probably we are one of those entities who actually set up the largest number of ITIs outside of the government. And we also have in the Korba district, I'm sure your people would have covered that. Incidentally, we also invested in the Triple IT at Raipur. I'm not saying these are the best answers to what we are trying to do, but unintentionally at first, and now probably more focused manner now, we are trying to see how we can actually reskill the people as we move forward. because the number of jobs which will probably start coming down, and it's of course not going to happen in the next 2 years. Coal, as we also anticipate, will be around maybe 2040, 2050. That appears the way we are working out. Government is actually working on that plan. So a lot of jobs will be there, but these numbers will keep on shifting drastically. And it's a no-brainer that the number of people employed on the renewable side is actually a very small percentage of what the number of people are involved on the coal-based side. So whether it's coal mining or a power plant. So both of these sides, the number of jobs which will have to shift from power plant operation per se will be a huge number. And when we talk about the next generation, there's going to be an even bigger number. So we feel that this is one of the small examples which we can take forward, and how we can reskill the people, not for jobs in power plants, but for jobs. So a lot of these ITIs are actually focused on, giving people training on the trades, on the mechanical side, electrical side, and even for example, on the computer side. So a lot of these guys will actually be prepared for a role on that side of the business, which will not be directly related to what we're doing on the power sector side. The other part which probably resonates with us is also the repurposing. And I'll give a quick example. We actually shut down Badarpur in 2018. And this was not because we wanted to, we were literally asked to, even though, and we are still on record on that, Badarpur at that point of time was, in terms of emissions, the best power plant NTPC had, because it had all the fitments in place. A lot of other plants are actually still doing it. But anyway, so that issue apart, because it was in the heart of Delhi, it was the lowest hanging fruit for all the people and the stakeholders involved, and Chandrabhushan, I see, smiling away. So this was done in 2018. What we have done there is we are actually developing an eco park. And in terms of size, that's an 800 acres of greenery we are creating there. This is actually larger than the Central Park in New York. So I don't know how many people have gone there. I've been there only once. So it will be larger than that. The whole idea is to develop. And one of the things which we had proposed to the government, because we actually don't own the piece of land, we told them that if you do this, we are creating green lungs for the capital. A lot of pollution and everything happening. So this is something which will help. So this is not a standard solution we are saying will happen everywhere, but this is one of the solutions which can be considered. The other is slightly longer term, and I heard with interest, I joined slightly late, you were talking about how to repurpose the coal mines. One of the things we have been talking to the government over a long period of time is, why don't you hand over the large voids of the open cast mines to people like NTPC, so that we have locations to dump our ash. And we have done one or two projects where we have actually converted the ash mound into a total green belt. Korba being one small example. I don't know how many people of you have actually visited our Dadri power station. There, the ash, where we are disposing of the ash, we are continuously converting that into a green zone. So it has a lot of trees, and we have done a lot of work, and we were helped a lot there by IIT and so on and so forth. So that's another of the examples which can be taken forward. The amount of land with power plant is much smaller compared to, for example, a coal mine, where the amount of land becomes much larger. But we feel that, contrary to what was being discussed here, the mine closure plan has to be decided upfront. We don't see it being decided 10 years down the line. It probably should be a part of when we are getting the mine plan approval. Then itself, we should either identify clearly, either we start setting aside some money, or we need to work out the broad contours of how the mine closure will happen and how that land can be purposed. Now, incidentally, NTPC also has 3 operating coal mines, and that is what we plan to do there. Of course, all these mines are expected to continue, operating for the next 25 years. So it'll be well past when I am around to actually take a look, and many of you, but I'm sure a lot of people would still be there. Maybe Manvi would still be around to take a look at what happens in 2045 kind of scenario. So that is what we feel. So probably I'll stop here. Thank you.